Welcome into First Take on a Wednesday, halfway through the week. He is Skip Bayless. I'm Molly Kerman.
And that's Stephen A. I know, it's Stephen A. Stoops.
Not Stephen A.
Oh.
That's Stephen A. Stoops.
Bob Stoops here with us. So excited to have you with us. Stephen A. is in Philly. He'll be with us in just a few minutes there. But let me give you a proper introduction here. He is entering his 17th season as head coach of Oklahoma, has 8 Big 12 championships to his name, and has the second highest winning percentage in college football over the last 15 years. We officially welcome, again, Bob Stoops.
Thank you for doing this on short notice.
Yes.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys.
Thank you. I think this guy has something he wants to ask you about last season.
Coach, it seems like we do this time every year. And I appreciate and respect the fact that you sort of subject yourselves to us. You know, I say, I'm going to get roasted, but I don't want to roast you. I always disqualify myself every time I talk about the University of Oklahoma football program on this show because I am an extremely emotional and unobjective fan. My grandfather took me to my first game when I was 5 years old, as I've told you before. I have always liked you very much personally, and I have always appreciated what you did for my program. What is this now? You've been there 16 years.
17.
I mean, this will be your 17th year. And once upon a time, it was viewed as this renegade, out-of-control program. Then it floundered, and you classed it back up. You took it back to the top of the rankings with class and principle, and I appreciate that. So last year,
here comes
well, the but was at the end of the year last year. I was ashamed by what happened because this is the University of Oklahoma I'm talking about. I know how much you love the program. And you have done so well there that as I sat dumbfounded watching Baylor, and I know Baylor had a powerhouse offense, but they score 45 unanswered points in Norman, Oklahoma. And I'm saying, this is impossible. These are the Sooners. Then, obviously, you played well as a beat-up football team in the in-state Bedlam rivalry against Oklahoma State, and you've taken a lot of the blame for repunting at the end of the game, but it was a disastrous calamity at the end of the game, and I think you'd be the first to admit. 92-yard punt return takes you to overtime, and you lose to a not very good Oklahoma State team. Then I don't know if your team just quit on you or what, but to be behind Clemson, a decent football team, but not a great one, 40-0 after 3 quarters of a bowl game was incomprehensible to me. So, very simply, now that you've had a little time to sit back, maybe play a couple rounds of golf and reflect on it, what the heck happened at the end of the year?
Well, I'm glad I rushed off the bus to jump in for Stephen A.
Just come back at me like Stephen A. does. We'll be okay.
We appreciate that.
The bottom line, sure, I take responsibility for the end of the year. My decision to punt again, poor decision. I've said it a number of times. And I don't think we ever got over that. And don't take anything. I'm not taking a thing away from Clemson, a really good football team that had a really good year. We really never moved on maybe as coaches and players. It is my job to get our players in that position. I didn't do a good enough job getting them, prepared and to move on and from that game. And therefore, again, Clemson, though, a really good team, not taking a thing away from them. They beat us good in the bowl game. And so it's our job to recover and to move on from it. And we've had a lot of really good years. I think 12 of the previous 14 years ahead of that, we've had 10 or more wins, and no other team in the country has done that.
Okay, so 45 unanswered by Baylor, and I know they were explosive, but you, as a defensive football coach, you had to be ashamed of that.
Yes and no. As a team, we didn't play very well the second half of that game. Give Baylor credit. They've scored a lot of points on everyone. I think they played the #1 defense in the country in Michigan State in the bowl game, and I think the score was 42-41. And Michigan State, Baylor missed a field goal late at the end of the game, or they would have won it. So they put a lot of yards and points on everybody. And so really to beat them, you've got to hold serve. Your offense has to be able to match up with them and score like that. And in the end, back and forth, we weren't able to do that.
Okay, so how much did last year hurt your pride?
Oh, it kills me to only go 8-5. That's not our standards. Like I told you, we've won 8 Big 12 championships. We've won every BCS bowl game and national championship. No one else has done that. So to go 8-5, that's not our standard, and I'm the first one to. It hurts me more than it hurts anybody.
Yep.
Even you as a fan.
I hope it hurts you more than it hurt me, but I was devastated by the end of the year. Perhaps I got over-emotional, but at the end of the regular season, I said, hey, Coach Stoops has been there now for 16 seasons. Maybe it's time for him to move on and this program to move on. Maybe sometimes they just get tired of hearing your voice. And I also said on this show, sitting in this chair, if Bob Stoops goes somewhere else, he will be a big success somewhere else. But maybe he needs a change of scenery, and so do, quote unquote, we need a change of scenery. Your reaction to that?
Well, you know, that can be the case sometimes. I don't feel that way personally. I love what I do, the people I work for. Again, we've got a long track record that's very successful, more so than maybe anybody else. But in the end, I love what I'm doing. I really love my players. I believe we've got an opportunity this year to do better than what people think, but we've got to go make that happen.
You do. You've had, I think, numerous opportunities to jump to the National Football League when the program's riding high. Do you ever look back at all and regret not taking any of those chances?
No, because at this point in my life, the way everything has gone, and again, the people I'm working with and at the university and the age of my family, it's been perfect. I've loved what we've been able to do at Oklahoma.
The kids are what now?
I have a daughter that just turned 19, is going to be a freshman in college. And I have two sons, identical twin sons, that are 16, going into their sophomore in high school. So for where we're at in our life right now, this has been great.
So going into next year, I remember Todd McShay, I know you know Todd, he did sideline at your Tulsa game, remember the rain game at Tulsa, and was raving about your talent level. And I believe Todd said this could be as talented a football team as there is in the country. And you were picked high last year, I don't know, top 5, maybe consensus by the polls. Where is that talent level now going into this football season?
I feel we've got a very talented team. We've got a good football team. You know, anytime you graduate some players or they move on to the NFL, you've got to replace some guys. But I feel we have guys in place that are good football players to take over for them. So I feel that we've got a team that can compete for a championship.
Quarterback, maybe a two-way, maybe a three-way battle. What's your gut feeling right now on which way you would go there?
There's way too many practices and way too much time from now to our first game for me to decide that. I want to see those guys continue to compete for it, and just want to see who's going to be the most consistent at making the plays that are there and running our offense, moving the chains, and who's going to avoid the really poor plays that really hurt us, you know, the turnovers that really can, you know, break your back. Who can avoid those?
Where would they rank right now? Do you have a depth
I'm not
chart?
going to.
No?
You know, Baker Mayfield and Trevor Knight are really neck and neck, and Cody Thomas is right on their heels. He really made a lot of progress through the spring, and we really like the direction he's going as well.
Trevor Knight seems like a great young man. Is that fair to say?
He's a fabulous
just
person.
All-time.
Yeah, he's everything you want in a student athlete.
Do you think you have, maybe that you stuck with him a little too long last year just because he's so likable?
No. You know, the guy's earned, you know, his way on the field and everything that he's done, and guys around him have to support him. I think at every level of football, too much is put on just the quarterback. The players around him have to play well, too.
He had a great game against Alabama, the previous bowl, obviously, what was it, the Sugar Bowl. An all-time great night, but maybe is it possible to say Alabama didn't show up for that game the way you guys didn't show up for the Clemson game?
Well, again, I'm not making excuses for our Clemson guy. I complimented Clemson. They played a heck of a game, and they're a really good football team. And I don't need to go all the way back to the Sugar Bowl in Alabama. It is what it is, and the game was what it was. So that's a while from now, and I'm moving on to this coming year.
TCU, I thought, got robbed at the end of the year. You don't have a conference title game. Your thoughts on whether you thought they belonged in the Final Four?
I sure did. You know, when you look at how well they played, and then you look at how well they played in their bowl game, in the Peach Bowl, and you know, they or Baylor, you know, were really had great seasons, and thought one of them should have been in there, and you know, it just didn't happen. But we'll see how it goes this year moving forward without a conference championship game, if that still matters or not. But they had a great year. And
you're ranked, I think, maybe in that 15 range. Is that more realistic right now?
I haven't paid attention to it. I never do. In the end, you've got to go play all your games and see where, you know, what kind of season you can have. So we're anxious for it, excited for it, and we'll go try and earn our way like we do every year.
Samaje Perine had a sensational year. TCU made it tough on him, obviously, there. But his Heisman chances, should he be in the conversation?
Hopefully. You know, he's sure the way he played a year ago showed he's one of the top players in the country. Hopefully he can have that kind of year. If he does, it's going to really help us.
Describe his style. What do you see in him?
Incredibly physical, faster than people think.
What's he go? What weight-wise? What?
You know, weight-wise, he's about 230. A year ago, he played about 235. He's cut a little weight, but he's gained speed. He's gained more power. He's stronger than he was a year ago naturally as he's getting older and maturing. But he's worked really hard. So
what would you say his 40-yard time would be? Just I mean, would he be a 4.5-ish?
Yeah, he's 4.5-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, but again, it'll be interesting this year with just cutting a little weight and gaining more strength. I'm sure he'll pick that up.
Sure.
Yeah, Coach, two things I want to hit before I let you go. So you said a new direction you guys were going to head in. Is it the spread offense?
It is. We hired Lincoln Riley from East Carolina, kind of going back to our roots when I hired Mike Leach from Kentucky to start in '99, and we moved on from there. But, you know, it's a style of offense that I really believe in, the disciplines of it and the principles of it, and our players really took to it in the spring really well.
And, Coach, I have to, before you go, hit you with this. So Joe Mixon and Frank Shannon return to the program after both players were suspended last season. Mixon punching a female student in a restaurant, and Shannon was found guilty violating the school's sexual misconduct policy. This has been a problem across all of college football, not just your school specifically. What changes have you seen from those players moving into this year?
Well, first of all, there's no place for it. It's always wrong, and in all situations, in all circumstances. Violence against women in any form is wrong, and they've been disciplined and they have been punished. You know, all situations are always different and circumstances can be different, but it's still always wrong. You know, they've met quite a few measures from the university and discipline from the university and from our program, and they've done it to the very best that they can in every form. Moving forward, they have strict guidelines on how they will be judged and what's expected of them. And, you know, moving forward, we'll see where it goes. But we're dealing also, we're an educational institution. We're dealing with 18 to 20, 21-year-olds at times that make mistakes or have bad judgment. And it's our job to teach them, to guide them, and hopefully, you know, help them in their life to grow and mature, to be great citizens and people you want to be with as they leave, people that are, again, great citizens as they leave. And that's our job, to educate, teach, and help form young people. And so they have that opportunity, and we'll see where they go from it.
No days off, a full-time job as a college football head coach. Coach, I truly appreciate you being here, pinch-hitting for Stephen A. Otherwise, I was going to have to spar this guy, and I don't know how that would have worked.
Coach Stoops is better looking than Stephen A. Smith. I know that for a fact.
I don't know about that, but I'm leaving with a couple black guys, but I'll be okay.
I think you're okay.
No, you're all right.
You did well.
And best of luck this season. Thank you so much. Andrew Luck is drawing comparisons to Michael Jordan. Don't miss Skip's thoughts on the Colts star quarterback when we come back. How about that?